What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jay Rich, back to bring you your MLB props for Monday, July the 4th. Happy 4th to all my American friends out there. But I don't want to waste too much time because there's already some baseball games going on right now. So let's talk about the plays that I'm playing today. Let's dive into it right now. So let's start with this list right here. Let me just make this a little bit smaller so everybody can see. Patrick Wisdom, Isaac Paredes, Ahmed Rosario, Steven Kwan, Wilson Contreras, Julio Rodriguez, Jonathan India for an under. So I think maybe we should probably put in a home run bet for him. And Manny Machado, Corey Seager. So let's start with the overs. Patrick Wisdom against Milwaukee. Eric Lauer has been terrible lately. So as you can see here, projected for 14.5 points, line of 6.5. 122% edge to the over. He's hit in 5 of his last 10 games. I do like Wisdom in this matchup. I think he's got a really good shot of going over. And I do think, you see the last 14, 11.85, last 7, 13.5. Very much buoyed by that 44 burger that he put in a few days ago, but overall still a great play. You see he's still hitting it fairly consistently. So I do like Wisdom. Probably not my favorite play, but I do like him quite a bit. Then you get into Isaac Paredes, who I think is a smash play today. You see 14.5 over his last 14, 10 over his last 7, up against Austin Davis, who is the opener for the Boston Red Sox. Shout out the Red Sox today. But up against Tampa Bay, it's going to be a tough sled, and they're opening with Austin Davis, and they're going to follow up with a minor league starter who also isn't very good. So there's not a lot to like really for the Red Sox pitching in this matchup. We know the bullpen isn't great either. So you see this 13.5 looks very good. Isaac Paredes is definitely a core play. He's hit in 7 of his last 10 days. Also coming off 2 great performances in Toronto. So I do really like Paredes today. I think that the Red Sox are in big trouble against the Rays. The Rays are coming in hot. And I think they're going to come into Boston ready to hit. And Paredes will be one of the main drivers behind that, hitting in the middle of that order. The only guy, like I talked about before, Franco hasn't been really hitting that well. Rosarena has kind of been okay. But G-Man Choi and Isaac Paredes should have a great series in Boston, especially for the opener today. Then getting into it, Ahmed Rosario and Steven Kwan up against Alex Faedo, who has been god-awful this season. Especially recently, he's been terrible. He's been allowing a ton of home runs, hasn't been pitching a lot of hits. So if you want to work in one guy, it would be Rosario for me. You can see he's been the more consistent of a hitter. Hit and a half per game. He's not averaging a ton of points, but hitting it early in that lineup, I do really like it. And lots of double and triple potential in Detroit. So I do like Rosario quite a bit. If he's going to get on base, he's going to have opportunities to be driven in. He's hitting 5 of his last 10 games at 7.5. It is a little bit higher than I'm hoping for, but overall I still really like it. Steven Kwan, same type of thing, just not quite performing as well. You see last 14 only 6, or last 14 7 over his last 7 only 6. He has hit though in 6 of his last 10 games, but not scoring a ton of points. He's not going way over. He's kind of just barely getting it done. Only a total of 5.5 though, so not terrible. And then going back to the Cubs, Wilson Contreras. Dude has just been money lately. He's been hitting a ton of home runs. He's been getting a ton of runs. We saw what happened when they played Boston recently. Only about a hit per game, but he's going for extra bases, 0.3, so not crazy high. I still kind of like him against Lauer, though. Lauer just hasn't been very good. You see the pitch factor is in his favor. So I do think there's a world where he goes over. It's just the 7 number is a little bit high for me. So I'm not all in on it, but he has hit in 5 of his last 10. And let's talk about my main man, Julio Rodriguez. 8.84 over the season, 13 over his last 14, and 13.4 over his last 7. What do you want me to say, man? This guy's just a god right now. He's hit it in his last 6 games. He's actually hit it in his last 7 games because he hit a home run yesterday, and so he went over again up against Sean Manaea, a very talented pitcher in his own right, but 6.5 is a pretty modest total. Now, Julio, like I mentioned, he hit and a steal, and he's over, so I do really like that potential for him in this matchup, and he's just been on fire. He's in San Diego, which isn't the best hitter's park so far this season, but overall I still really like Julio. I think he's got a great shot of going over. He's definitely a core play with Rosario, would be kind of the 2 guys I'd pair together right there. And I think you could talk me into some Wisdom at a pretty low number and a very high ceiling, as we've seen from him, 25, 44, 15. You see Paredes as well, 32, 14. I think if you want to go Paredes, Rosario, and J-Rod, that's kind of where I'm leaning. Then let's talk about Jonathan India. Projected for an under, so you should probably bet him to homer, because every time you see this number, this 23, that was the day I projected him for an under, and he homered. This 16, the day I wanted him for an under, and he homered. So, about every 5 days or so, I have him for an under, and he homers. So it sounds like today is going to be that day, so I would probably bet him to homer. I believe it's 5-1 if you want to take those odds, and if he hits, thank me. And maybe don't take the under on him because I'm a little bit scared, but he is projected for an under in my model up against Taijuan Walker, who is very talented, but can give up home runs, especially playing in Cincinnati. So we know that Cincinnati is very much a hitter's ballpark, and Jonathan India can definitely homer at home. Then let's get into Manny Machado, who's been struggling since coming back off injury up against Chris Flexen, who is a good pitcher, right? He's only a .95 pitch factor, but he's pretty damn good, and he's been pitching pretty well. So I'm not necessarily saying you have to go under on Machado, but with this 8.5 total is a little bit high for me. You see over his last 14, 3. Last 7, 3, because again, he's just coming back very recently. So he's not playing particularly well, still coming back off injury, but this could be the game he gets back. I'd much prefer an under for Corey Seager. They're playing in Baltimore, which is obviously a very much a pitcher's ballpark. He is a lefty, so not as bad for Seager, so he's not going to be as affected by that left field wall. But you see here 7 points over the season, 4.45 over his last 14, and 5.5 over his last 7. But you can see he's only hit in 2 of his last 10 games. That 14 and that 10 are really him barely going over that 8.5, and most of the time he's been under that. So I do like an under for Seager. So I wanted to get in and get out really quick for you guys. As you can see, you know, rocking the Patriots hard hat that my buddy Willie got for me. So I wanted to do a little bit something special for July the 4th. So everyone out there celebrating, have fun if you're betting, bet responsibly, and don't bet when you're drunk. And overall, like I mentioned, Patrick Wisdom I like, Paredes I like, Rosario I like, Julio Rodriguez, and a Corey Seager under. If I was to pick 3, it'd be Paredes, Rosario, and Julio Rodriguez. And if you want to mix in some Wisdom and some Seager under, I do like it as well. You can stack the Cubs, they look good. You can stack the Rays if you want to look at them, they look pretty good. I do like Paredes obviously the most. And then Cleveland does look pretty good against Faedo, who has been really struggling this season. It's just Hamram isn't quite as good. He's projected for I think like 9 points, but his total is 9, so I'm not really all in on that. It's just a high number for a guy who's been struggling a little bit. But overall, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to drop me a like and subscribe for future content if you like this. Maybe this helmet can bring me some luck today. Maybe we can get some winners on this July 4th. And as always, if you tail, give them hell. And if we fail, do not bail. I'll be back tomorrow. Probably. I may take the day off. So if you don't see any picks tomorrow, DM me on Twitter or just kind of ask me and maybe I can drop some picks if I don't put out a video. But definitely we'll be back on Wednesday. And I'll see you guys when I see you. Good luck today. And I'm out. Peace.